Sie müssen sich vorstellen, wie wir das ablehnen, was das international für die Schweiz heißt.
Das jetzt mit der Stimmkarte.
In Switzerland, citizens can participate directly in the political process. They can usually vote 4 times a year on issues that affect the whole of Switzerland, their canton, or their municipality. Switzerland is home to the most referendums in the world. What does this mean for politics? The Swiss Parliament is also known as the Federal Assembly and consists of 2 chambers: the House of Representatives, which represents the people, and the Senate, which represents the cantons. The 200 seats in the House of Representatives are distributed among the cantons according to the size of the population.
Ja bedeutet Annahme der Motion, Nein heißt Ablehnung der Motion.
The 46 seats in the Senate represent the cantons. Most cantons send 2 people to the Senate, while some send 1 for historical reasons. This system gives more weight to small cantons with few inhabitants. Parliament thus has a total of 246 members. These are elected by the citizens every 4 years. Switzerland is considered a concordance democracy because all the major parties traditionally send ministers to the government.
Gewählt ist mit 121 Stimmen
est élu avec 121 voix.
Herr Nationalrat Christoph Blocher.
The parties with the highest voter shares are also represented in the government. Unlike in other countries, Switzerland is not governed by a president, but by 7 federal councillors. They all head their own ministry. The federal councillors are members of different parties and form a collegial body that takes its decisions at the weekly Federal Council meeting. The odd number of federal councillors ensures that there is never a stalemate. The Swiss presidency rotates among the 7 government ministers every year. The president is on an equal footing with the other members of the Federal Council, but chairs the meetings and represents the government, for example, abroad. An important instrument of direct democracy is the popular initiative. Citizens can use it to demand an amendment to the federal constitution. At least 100,000 signatures must be collected within 18 months for the initiative to be put to a popular vote. What happens if a vote conflicts with international human rights? In 2009, for example, voters backed a popular initiative banning the construction of minarets in Switzerland, despite a clear recommendation from government and parliament to reject it. The ban on minarets is therefore enshrined in the federal constitution and had to be implemented at the legislative level. Parliament had the task of adapting the relevant laws and bringing them into line with international agreements and international law. The vote attracted worldwide attention and triggered discussions about religious freedom and integration.
Discrimination against Muslims, including hate crimes, in Europe. We have the Swiss minarets, the vote of the Swiss population, 57%, banning further minarets being built.
Votes in Switzerland often attract worldwide interest. For example, the unsuccessful vote to abolish the army in 1989 or the successful mass immigration initiative of 2014, which aimed to limit the immigration of foreigners into Switzerland. Another important instrument of direct democracy is the referendum. A mandatory referendum is a popular vote that is required if Parliament and the government want to change the constitution, or if they want to join an international organisation such as the EU or NATO. With an optional referendum, citizens can object to a law that has already been passed by Parliament. This referendum is put to a popular vote only if at least 50,000 signatures are collected within 100 days. One example is the referendum on some of the measures against the COVID pandemic. A total of 3 referendums, 2 in 2001 and 1 in 2023, were held against the COVID-19 law drawn up by the government and Parliament. All 3 referendums were unsuccessful, with over 60% of voters in favour of the law. These referendums were exceptional from a global perspective. In other countries, measures to combat the pandemic were usually decided by the government or Parliament, without the population being able to object. One of the oldest forms of direct democracy is the Landsgemeinde. Appenzell Innerrhodes and Glarus are the last 2 cantons where citizens gather in the open air once a year to decide on cantonal laws and expenditure. Appenzell Innerrhodes had to give women the vote in the early 1990s under pressure from the federal court, 20 years after its introduction throughout Switzerland. As recently as 1990, a majority of men voted against women's suffrage at the Landsgemeinde.
Wer dem Landsgemeindeschluss nicht zustimmen will, der bezeugt es mit der Hand. Zweite Mehr ist grössere Mehr, da stimmen wir für Ablehnung.
This example shows that the power of those with political rights has an impact on that part of society that is not granted these rights. Federalism is a cornerstone of Swiss politics. It means that political power is divided between 3 levels: government, cantons, and municipalities. Each level has its own competences. The Municipal Assembly is a direct democratic body in villages and smaller towns. All citizens who live in the municipality can vote and choose who lives in the municipality. The municipalities may take their own decisions as long as no cantonal or federal law contradicts them. This is known as the principle of subsidiarity. Alongside neutrality and federalism, direct democracy is part of Switzerland's national identity. Last but not least, this unique political system helps to keep the different languages and cultures together in the Confederatio Helvetica, the Swiss Confederation.